Welcome to the Military Transition Academy podcast by Vets2PM. Today is a very special episode. We have our career services team here, and you guys might know them as the DoD SkillBridge team for Vets2PM. So today we're going to talk all things SkillBridge and highlight what we do for you and how you can get involved in our DoD SkillBridge program. So let's first welcome the team. Kathy, Bridget, Lindsay, Jessica, thank you so much for joining. Kathy, take it away and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Misty. Happy to be here and part of this amazing team. So I'm Kathy McLeod. I'm the Director of Career Services with Vets2PM. I've been with the company since almost our inception 10 years ago. I joined in about July of 2015. And I have a career history of human resources and executive search / recruiting. And ended up joining Vets2PM, helping initially with resume writing for transitioning military members, and was fortunate enough to recognize this amazing company and what we want to do to help transitioning service members into the civilian, corporate America. And so was able to start the creation of the Career Services Department and specifically our SkillBridge program. So happy to be here and talk about it.
Awesome. Bridget?
Hi, thanks for the opportunity to kind of discuss our program. Is such an amazing opportunity for our transitioning service members, whether or not you're retiring or separating. SkillBridge is probably DoD's #1 successful program, and we hope that it stays around. So I am a veteran of almost 27 years. I'm retired Air Force. I was airborne comm amongst a lot of other different, I guess, secondary jobs and things like that. And I actually was afforded the opportunity to do a SkillBridge with Vets2PM in 2022, 21. I retired January of 22. So I've been working with this amazing team for just about 3 years. And my SkillBridge opportunity turned into a full-time position with Vets2PM as the SkillBridge program manager. So we've had a fantastic time building this program and helping hundreds of service members finding their optimal SkillBridge program, and then facilitating that for them and mentoring them along the way, giving them our lessons learned that we've had and help build their skill sets so that they can transition easier. So perfect. Thank you very much again for the opportunity to discuss this. Lindsay.
Hi, thanks for having us. Yes, similar to Bridget, I am Lindsay Lemus, retired Air Force. I did 23 years in the military, various jobs. Happy to be here. I did my SkillBridge with Vets2PM as well in 23 and was lucky enough to get hired on at the end. So I've been working with the Career Services team, helping veterans transition for about a year now. Jessica?
Hi, yes, thank you for having us. Definitely excited to be able to talk about our program and get a greater audience, a greater view. So I'm Jessica Boswell. I was in the Navy for about 7.5 years. I also did my SkillBridge with Vets2PM back in 2022. So we are success stories. We know SkillBridge works. All 3 of us did it. And so I started in April 2022, and then I was one of the lucky ones that was able to do a 6-month SkillBridge. It was a long time, but it's also great because I was able to prove my worth to Vets2PM because I knew I had accepted the SkillBridge without the possibility of a job offer. But the experience was great. The company was growing. SkillBridge was growing. And so I was able to accept a job offer. And now here we are. I am also an assistant SkillBridge program manager.
Yep, and we've been keeping her hostage ever since. So she's never leaving. All right. Well, thank you so much for the introductions, team. And I also did a SkillBridge, not with Vets2PM, but with a local construction company. And then I was able to go on and get a full-time position with a company that they had a network and a collaboration with. So SkillBridge works. And so at Vets2PM, not only do we provide SkillBridge opportunities for our active duty military service members, but we also provide the opportunity for companies to come on board and provide these opportunities as well. So we provide SkillBridge program management as a service for companies, and we're always looking for more opportunities that we can provide to our veterans. So what is the DoD SkillBridge program? I'm sure there's not really a lot of people in the military that don't know about this, but Kathy, I would love to know what the formal definition of SkillBridge is and how it can help not only the military service member, but companies.
Thank you for focusing on the companies, because I was going to say that. When we talk about SkillBridge, we often just talk about the military member because it's such an amazing program for them. But it is also an amazing program for companies to be able to learn by hosting SkillBridge interns and the amazing skills and knowledge and abilities that they bring to the table. So SkillBridge is a DoD program that enables active duty service members to intern with companies in corporate America during the last 6 months of active duty service. There are other obligations that the service member has in those last 6 months. So a typical internship is approximately 4 months, give or take a little bit. Jessica had 6 months. Bridget had 4 months, I think. Lindsay had 4 months, I think.
Yeah.
So 4 months is kind of the sweet spot. So the great benefit to the transitioning service members, they get to explore the career that they think they want to do when it's in an environment that they're still getting paid by the military. So it's low threat. They get to determine, you know, is this the track, the field that I really want to go in? And if it is, the great thing is that they're doing on the job training with a company that's interested in potentially hiring them. So it can mitigate that I have to get a job because I just got out of the military. I'm going to take the first thing that comes my way, or I'm going to be underemployed, or I'm going to work at, you know, some low paying job because I just feel like I have to take a job. What it gives them the time to do is get out of uniform, learn about corporate America, learn about the industry that they want to go in, learn about the specific job that they're doing and learning about, and determine if that's a good fit for them before they're in a position where they need to get a job because they have to have a paycheck. And so it's been wildly successful. And the way we work, SkillBridge as a service, we are the SkillBridge provider. We find the intern candidates. We provide training for the intern. We mentor them throughout their entire internship. We manage their internship. And then we work with these companies that we call industry mentors who kindly, you know, provide on-the-job training in that same field. So we find them, we take them in, we train them in PMP or whatever the certification is that is aligned with their SkillBridge focus. And then the company that we work with gives them some on-the-job training to get that corporate America experience. And then, you know, we have a 80+% placement rate with interns in jobs, whether it be with their industry mentors or other companies when they come out of their SkillBridge internship. So it's a phenomenally successful program. So the benefit to the intern is everything I mentioned. The benefit to the company is they get to boost their veteran hiring. They get to learn about and bring on job candidates from a discipline, military, that they probably would not have seen just through their normal recruiting processes. And then they get to learn the breadth and depth of experience that military members bring with them, and their ability to adapt and learn and lead, you know, as employees that are going to improve retention rates because of their commitment level and whatnot. But it gives everybody that time to see, is this right? So if the match is made and they get hired at the end of it, they're working on day one as a functioning employee, and you're not having the risk of, is this person going to be right or not? When the company hires the intern, they know they're right, or it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, in our
I hope that explained what you were
absolutely. Our
looking
program
for.
answers 2 questions. So one question from the military service side, it's like, hey, do I have transferable skills? And so the DoD SkillBridge program literally bridges the gap between your military skill set and what the civilian sector is going to require or expect. And then the other question is, hey, how can I get my hands on this veteran talent that I hear about that is so that is so valuable, and we provide that talent pool to you. So Bridget, you and I, we served together in the Air Force. I was also in the Air Force for 20 years. And so we know that there's so many different opportunities out there, big time programs that people talk about that offer the same exact thing that we do as far as SkillBridge, you know, to the service members, and also SkillBridge as a service. But why should they go with Vets2PM, Bridget? I'd love for you to explore a little bit about what our unique value add is, why we are different.
Well, because we're a fantastic company, one, And we're a company made up of veterans, and veterans that have served. We have spouses that were military spouses. We have family members. So every single one of us have been working with veterans in our career. So we understand, we can talk the same language. We understand some of the situations and circumstances that our military members have gone through. We know you're going to move. So we know you really want to stay in one place, or those that want to get out want to continue that tradition of moving. And so we do understand that, and we try to match you with an industry mentor that kind of meets your needs. And so we do a lot of personal intake with our candidates that are looking for SkillBridge opportunities, and we ask you those questions. I don't know other SkillBridge personally, I don't know other SkillBridge companies that get down to the nitty gritty of like, are you willing to move to different parts of the country for a job opportunity? What's your salary expectation? Hey, what did you do in the military? What are some of those transferable skills? And we ask those questions so that we can make a positive match with our industry mentor. And then we also ask you to apply for some of those positions that you're interested in. And the reason we do that is because we want to match you with something that you're actually interested in, as opposed to just saying, hey, I've got this, this, and this, and you figure out the company that sounds the best. It may not be a good match for you, but hey, this is all we have. And from personal experiences, that's what happened to me. And that's one of the reasons I went to Vets2PM, is because I went to one of those larger companies and they said, well, we don't really have anything in the location you're trying to relocate to. And so they said, we have Walmart, Home Depot, and something else. And I was like, well, I mean, they're all SkillBridge approved, so I could really just go to them and you wouldn't really provide me anything. So we kind of do those one-on-one matching. Furthermore, we have all these different services that we provide to you. We do LinkedIn optimization course, which, oh, by the way, you have access to that for a lifetime. So LinkedIn optimization, we help you with your resume writing. We do, regular meetings of mentorship meetings where you can ask our team questions that might be, on the forefront of your mind that you may not know who to ask those questions to. So our team, we've dealt with VA, we've dealt with terminal leave, we've dealt with relocation, we've dealt with how do you do your taxes, all of these things that are common to those that are getting out of the military that you don't really think of until you're put in that predicament. So, we're just a fantastic team that is really invested in helping you with that successful transition. We'll check in with you, throughout the process, and furthermore, even after the SkillBridge program, to help to keep track of whether or not you gained employment. Yeah. And then if you haven't, we always have a job board that's up that is constant. So if you're out of your SkillBridge window, you can continuously look for our job opportunities that our company's still looking for veterans, maybe not SkillBridge, but still looking for veterans, that you can always continuously look for job opportunities. And I say that even for those that maybe accept a job and realize that may not be the great match for you, or you decided that you followed whatever you were doing in the military and that you realize that may not be your calling now that you have a choice in the world. And so you might be looking for different industries, different opportunities. You can always continuously go to our job board and look for a different industry or different job, and we'll submit you to those clients and hopefully facilitate a good interview for you and help you get that job. We want you to find a successful career transition of whatever that looks like for you. And we're really invested in doing that.
Yeah. And one thing I always say is that we don't just take you fishing, we teach you how to fish. So we're teaching you how to do your resume. We're teaching you how to do your own LinkedIn account. We're teaching you how to interview. We're teaching you how to apply for jobs. We're even in the trainings, like we're teaching you how to go and find the resources, because you're going to have to do that. That's a skill set. On a lot of veterans' resumes, we put that we're adaptable, we're resilient, we're flexible, and whatever it may be, detail oriented, until we actually have to be. And then sometimes we prove that, that maybe we're not. And it's just because we're uncomfortable. It's a new situation. We're not used to not being in the military. But at Vets2PM, our SkillBridge candidates, they are getting, lessons on how to fish. We're not just taking you there. We're not doing it for you, and so our program is the whole person concept. And we are going to help you bridge the gap between your military experience and what the civilian sector requires. And in order for us to do that, we do have to have industry mentors in our queue. So we have to have companies that want veteran talent and are willing to provide these opportunities. So Jessica, I'd love for you to share, how can companies get involved? How can they get involved with our program?
Yes. So we do have so we try to make this as easy as possible. On our website, it's vets2pm.com /SkillBridge CA/ we have all information. So that's where companies can get our corporate interest form, where the company tells the companies, they fill that out, kind of like we have ones for military members. We have one for the companies too, where they can tell us what their company is, what they're looking for. Have they heard of Vets2PM? Have they heard of SkillBridge? Are they SkillBridge approved through the DoD? Do they have someone that they already have in mind because they're not SkillBridge approved? Are there people that they already have in mind that they want to do the program? But yeah, I do want to add a little bit of clips from what we have on there because it says why Vets2PM? We're developing the DoD SkillBridge track. So, we have the project management, IT cyber, HR, business development, general development, we facilitate those internships. So I know a lot of other companies who are DoD approved, they have cohorts.
Yeah.
They have a schedule that they have to stick with. And what's unique about us is that our schedule is the military member schedule. So what they have available, those 6 months, 3 months, 2 months, we go by their schedule. And so
it's truly individualized. And that's what Bridget was getting at. But we don't have cohorts, unless you're utilizing the Fort Bliss program, and that's something a little bit different. But our goal is to match the company and match the candidate. And we do that by talking and having these conversations in order to come up with the right amount of time for both.
And to maximize, right? To maximize the time they're available. So like, for instance, if a company has a cohort and it's only 3 months, Jessica would have cut her SkillBridge in half. We don't necessarily advocate for 6 month SkillBridges all the time because that's a long time to be in a job interview.
Yeah.
But for certain instances, it makes sense. Sometimes the company and the SkillBridge candidate know about each other and they know that person's going into the job. And so in that instance, if he can or she can maximize, the SkillBridge for 6 months, all the better for everybody, right? So we take all of these factors into consideration, and typically, we try to maximize the amount of time somebody can be in SkillBridge without overdoing.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jess.
Yeah, and so we also have we don't like to call them interns because they have tons of experience. So our SkillBridge residents, they certify for the Department of Labor Work Opportunity Tax Credit. So a lot of companies don't know that, WOTC. And so, the organizations can take advantage of these valuable tax credits by hiring veterans as W-2 employees once they get out of the military. We administer the program. The Department of the DoD has so many requirements for the SkillBridge program.
Yeah.
So we take the load off the companies where we administer the program and they can focus on the job training with their SkillBridge residents.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Lindsay, I'd love for you to chime in and provide any other details about why Vets2PM is the place to go, not only for the candidate, but for the company.
Yes, and I think through this podcast, we've kind of said, time and time again, we're very intimate, with the military member. And when you say Vets2PM, we are veterans. We are here to help them. We've been through it. So we truly know what they're going through. We can relate to them. and definitely help them through that. We have mentor sessions a couple times a month. We're always available. We have different avenues, our phone number, our email, Slack channels. There's every, different type of communication that the military member can get a hold of us if they need anything. Through those mentor sessions, we also try to have guest speakers. So other people from the outside, if it's LinkedIn or resumes or just another veteran that has some experience to share, they can help, one of their fellow counterparts and their peers through this process. Sometimes, they share their experience, they share, tips and tricks to help that military member as well. And like teaching them, you said we teach them, right? We don't just hand them off to somebody. We are there with them, through and through the entire process. Not only do we meet with them, we meet with the host companies. So we definitely try to, like Bridget said, connect them with, somebody that's going to help them, that's going to benefit them, and what they want and what they're looking for in the future.
And to add to that, that's such a great point. We, because we are made up of mostly veterans, I'm not a veteran myself. I am the daughter of one, but everybody else on our team is a veteran.
Well, you're a vet. I mean, I feel like you've been with us for so long
by
that
default, right?
you're honorary.
Honorary. I love it. But we are able to help prepare our partner companies for what they're going to experience with having one of our residents do on the job training with them. Since many of us have been through it, through SkillBridge in the military, we understand what challenges they might face. We understand what their schedule is going to look like. We prepare our partner companies for, hey, this person is going to need time off for certain appointments related to their transition, and those are non-negotiable. And so they know to expect that. And if a company is not willing to accept that, then we wouldn't be working with that company, right? So we're able to prepare that company. And that's really important. And if you have a large company, not only do we prepare the person who we initially made contact with, but we have meetings with all the managers that might work with these interns. Because it's great if the talent acquisition understands our relationship and how we're helping them. But if the people on the ground with the intern doing the OJT don't understand the program, then that won't be successful. So we get just as intimate with our partner companies, our industry mentors who are doing the OJT, to make sure they understand what their piece of this whole process is and how to be successful. And we're available to them just as much as we are to the residents to answer their questions and hold their hand and, foster them throughout the process as well.
Absolutely. And when it comes to the companies where you're basically your turnkey solution for talent, and if you are looking for veteran talent, we are the one-stop shop. And so we have a huge candidate database. We have lots and lots of different professionals from different industries, different skill sets. And so whatever your hiring problem is, we have the potential solution. And for those service members who are looking, for a DoD SkillBridge internship, we'd love for you to visit our site. It's really simple. Just go to Vets2PM.com and you'll see the tab that says SkillBridge, and you'll be able to see the step-by-step instructions. Those instructions are so important for you to follow because we want to make sure that you're doing the right actions in the right sequence. So that way your application gets to the right people within the right timeline, right? Because everybody's going to have a different timeline. And so if you are interested in SkillBridge, just go to our website, click the SkillBridge tab, and you can see all of our partners, our industry mentors, and see what positions are out there for SkillBridge. And don't hesitate if you don't see anything that maybe you're interested in, scroll down a little bit on the page, you'll see the email that you can send us an email to, and we can work with you. And that's the beauty of working with a smaller company, is because we do want to provide that individualized experience. All right, so before we end the podcast episode, I would love for you guys to kind of maybe share some tips and tools for those candidates who are looking for SkillBridge internships, maybe, things to do, things not to do, things that you guys have seen. And so we are celebrating 10 years, but we're also celebrating 1,000 interns that we have processed through our SkillBridge program. And so again, they're residents, but intern is what everyone knows, about them. But 80% hiring rate, you know, and honestly, we are facilitating more and more internships daily. And so if the host company can't hire, we have such a vast network to work with. And so, Bridget, I'd love to start with you. Any tips and tools for the candidate? Things to do, things not to do, things you've seen? I'm sure you've seen a lot.
So I would say that there's actually a few notes that I want to make sure we cover before we say goodbye, and there's some for the candidates and some for commanders. So the candidates are, you know, when you're looking for a job opportunity or a SkillBridge opportunity, do not be scared of companies that you don't recognize. That was one of the things that I think I caught myself, was that, hey, if it wasn't a big partner like Lockheed or Boeing or someone else that I knew that I could make an easy segue into that company, then it wasn't something I was interested in. Those smaller companies are really looking for great manpower and great employees that are going to make their team robust. So don't be afraid to take take a look at some of those smaller companies, and the local ones. You might be able to really get in and shine in those companies, as opposed to be buried in some of those large, huge companies. So don't be discouraged by companies you don't recognize. Also, our name says Vets2PM. We're not just project management. I want to make sure that that we're getting that word out, that we do other certification trainings in our company. Some of our most now come with some sort of certification training, which includes maybe IT, cyber, human resources, business development, and I know there's some that I'm going to miss, but I don't want you to have a misnomer that we are only project management, and that those companies don't think that we only do project management. Think of all of our military members as coming from a city. So every job that's in a city, our military members can do, and or their job skills are contained in every city. So we have someone that might be, you know, air conditioning, fire department, dental hygienist, you know, avionics, aviation, fuels, you know, maintenance guys. So think of it, you know, if you're a company, we can really provide you with any sort of talent that you're looking for, whatever your company is. And then the last message I have is a note to commanders, because we've been senior enlisted. Well, I'm a senior enlisted manager, and so I understand the struggles that commanders have on allowing their people to go without having a replacement. So I get the manpower struggle that we have, but let me just tell you this, that this is probably, I was very apprehensive about letting my folks go for a 4 or 6 month SkillBridge. And a few years ago, I would say that sometimes those SkillBridges were not necessarily the most productive for our members that are transitioning. However, DoD has put in some constraints to the program and oversight. And so therefore, pretty much every program, there are a few that are still out there, but they're going to have to start making some changes to their programs to maintain compliance with the new DoD directives. So specifically, our program is all about mentorship and providing them a great experience. We ask them, hey, if there's anything that's going astray or wrong with your SkillBridge, please contact us. We'll coordinate with the company. And I will say that not every experience is a positive experience. Maybe you determined that this wasn't the industry that you wanted to go into, but I will say that is still very productive. That has eliminated, you know, your risk level when you're still getting active duty pay, and you're in an industry that you realize wasn't really what you wanted to do. You now have an opportunity before you get out to determine what that next step looks like. So for commanders, I beg and ask that you continue to support this program. I have to say it is one of the best programs we have in the Department of Defense that support our veterans in this transition, and that prepare them for that life event. And it is a very big life event. Some people just think, hey, I've only done 4 years and I'm getting out. it's not that simple, and I will testify to that. And those that think that retirees have have an income and therefore they don't need help with that transition, I would beg to differ on that. And I say support your retirees as much as you do those that have only been in for 4 or 10 years. And I say that because we've learned a whole different life lesson. We've been out of industry for that long, for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
You know, and so
we may need it more.
Right.
I tend to think we need it more because
Yes.
I'm related to the military life. There are a lot of things that we just don't know in those industries that we have to learn as well. So giving us a chance to kind of integrate into a civilian sector and kind of learn how to speak civilian fluently, and how to interact with people that aren't military members, how to not talk in acronyms, how do we maintain performance with our coworkers. Sometimes we're so used to, I don't want to say this, but I will, sometimes we're used to outperforming or performing at a very high level because our jobs were so fast paced that we had to get things done. And the civilian sector just doesn't perform at that level and sometimes is a slower pace. And we just have to learn how to kind of just figure out, dip our toes in the company that we're looking at going and figuring out how do we adjust our behaviors to those of that industry or that company. So I beg that commanders continuously support this program. They are always welcome to call us, to email us, to reach out to us if they, have a question on our program and whether or not it's a valid program for their members. And we have no problem reaching back out and kind of having a two-way conversation and a dialogue on that. And for those that do support us, we want to say thank you because that continued support helps our program grow. We like word of mouth. So if you've had a positive experience, we ask that you share that amongst your team members and your units, that they continue to come to Vets2PM for our SkillBridge program. And we're here to help those transitioning service members. So that was a long answer.
Yeah, it's good. It's good points. Lindsay, any tips and tools?
I would just say keep an open mind, do your research, and go to our website. Like you said, vets2pm.com. Complete your SkillBridge interest form, whether you do your internship with us or not. You have access, like Bridget said and Kathy said, I think, lifetime access to the resources there. So contact us if you have any questions or need any help. We are definitely here to support our veterans and provide you any insight or information that we can.
Yeah. Jessica?
Yeah, to reiterate what Lindsay said, yes, go to vets2pm.com, go fill out the SkillBridge interest form, but don't just do that. Go look at our job board, go look at our SkillBridge job board. There's so many opportunities we have. We have remote, we have in certain locations. Apply. We want you to apply to the internships that you think you'd be a great fit for. Like I said, it doesn't have to be something that you'd always done before, but also use this SkillBridge as a learning opportunity because, some people do learn. Maybe I'm not cut out for remote work. I need to have other people around me. And so it is just a great, great tool and learning opportunity for a lot of SkillBridge military transitioning members.
Yeah, and the point of SkillBridge is really just to bridge the gap between, what you know from the military and what you need to know for the civilian sector. But you also have to be cognizant whether or not you serve 4 years or 27 years, you are going to be a very different person a year after you separated or retired, 2 years after you separated, retired, and SkillBridge is going to be a part of that journey. And so it's not about landing the next job that you're going to be at for 20 years. It's about networking. It's about collaborating. It's about learning different skill sets. Human resources in the military is very different than human resources in the manufacturing, industry, than the medical industry, whatever it may be. And so this is an opportunity once you separate and retire to really learn what it is that you think you want to do and then pivot and adjust accordingly. And just remember that every single opportunity that you have, including this internship, is an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to network, and it's an opportunity to collaborate. And those things will help you 2, 3, 6, 10 years out from leaving the military. Kathy, I know that you work with a lot of the companies. Any tips and tools for the companies that are interested but don't really know, ooh, is this for us? And what would you say to those companies?
I would say contact us, schedule a call, and we can talk about it. It may be for your company and it may not. And that could be for many different reasons. And we're honest. If it's not for your company, we're going to tell you it's not for your company, because if it's not a good fit for your company, we would struggle finding people for you. And nobody wants to be in that situation. So we're going to help you every step of the way, but we'll help you make those decisions, and we'll help you understand the program inside and out. It's a government program. It's complex. It has a lot of things to do, I's to dot, T's to cross, et cetera. And so our job is to help you navigate that and really navigate it for you. But we will first explain it to you so you understand it. One of the great benefits of it is, while you have a resident at your company, you don't pay the resident, because they are getting full military pay and benefits while they're in the internship. A lot of companies might not know that. In fact, you're not allowed to pay them because of that. So that's amazing. And then with Jessica talking about the work opportunity tax credit, if you do end up hiring that person as a W-2 employee, you can get a tax credit, for $9,600 or even more, depending on certain things, but, to put back in your company's revenue. And that's an incentive for companies that are interested in hiring veterans to explore the opportunities for hiring veterans. This is the best way to do it, to have a support system like Vets2PM. We're here to make it easy. We're the easy button. It's as a service. We take all the administrative part of it away from you, so you can just concentrate on what your company does and incorporating veterans into that process. What we've seen with so many job offers is that once you host a resident, and the first one or two, I'll be honest with you, it's a learning experience.
For everyone.
Your company learns how to host them. And the intern learns how to be an intern. And they've got our support. So after you've hosted one or two, you know what you're doing too. And it's so much easier. But these people come in. I mean, we hired 3 of them that we told we couldn't have a job for you afterwards. That's how valuable they were to us. And so that's kind of typically what we see from the companies. And then once our partner companies hire the intern, they advance quickly. They've got it going on, and the wheels are in motion, and it's typically just such a success. It's just really a humbling program to be a part of. It's amazing. And so if a company is interested and they're not sure it's right for them, contact us. You go to our website and go to the SkillBridge, for companies page, SkillBridge CA at vets2pm.com, or you can just hover over the SkillBridge tab. You can learn about it, read about it, fill out an interest form that Jessica was describing. Just tells us about you and what you think you have in mind and what kind of questions you have. We will schedule a call with you and we'll answer your questions, and you get to choose how you want to move forward. But it is an incredible program to really, the key here is you are going to see candidates that you would typically never see. And that's partly because a military member's resume doesn't look like somebody who's already out in industry's resume. And the people and the processes and the tracking systems that it has to go through sometimes don't allow them to get on your desk. And so we're able to submit candidates to you that we know the value of and that we think you should look at. And then you get to see these pool of candidates that you would have probably never seen before. And that is a great way to diversify your workforce by adding that, military members into it. So
absolutely. And veterans are gap fillers. I'm not just a human resources professional. There's so many other things that I did when I was serving in the military. And so we bring a diverse skill set. And so we're not a one-trick pony. Bridget always likes to say that. And so if you're looking for gap fillers, veterans are where it's at. And so I encourage every company that's thinking about it to reach out. Let's get on a call and let's discuss. And for those military service members out there that are eligible or will be eligible for, our SkillBridge program, one thing I always like to say is even if it doesn't result in full-time employment, you will learn something. You will learn new skill sets. You will learn things to do, what not to do. And you'll learn what you want to be a part of and what you don't. And I always use my example because, I learned very quickly, I don't want to work for a small company. That was 5 years ago. I say that differently now. But when I was retiring from the military, I didn't want to work for a small company. I felt like it was way too intimate. And it was just, for me, I was like, no, I want to be a part of the hustle and bustle of manufacturing or something like that, that was pretty familiar to the military. And then I did 4 years in the manufacturing industry. And I was like, please, I need a small company. So SkillBridge allows you to kind of, do some research, and it's sort of, you shouldn't be losing, at all in a SkillBridge program. You should be gaining skills, gaining a network, and gaining the ability to adapt and be resilient and adjust and whatever it may be. And SkillBridge allows you to do that.
Can I share a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
I remember the very first intern that we had that did not want the job with the host company. And I was initially just so shocked and upset. This was years ago. It was probably one of our first 20 interns. And this was a guy who thought he wanted to go into the IT field. So we got him an internship to learn. It was a training only internship he was doing some on-the-job training too, but to learn the IT cyber field. And he had a good background for it and all that. What I didn't know was before he went into the military, he was a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And for just a couple of years. Then he went into the military. He got some IT in the military. And so he thought he wanted to move forward in that career in the civilian sector. And so he contacted me toward the end of the internship. He's like, I don't want to interview. I don't want to do this. I want to go back to teaching. And at first I was upset because I felt like it was a failure. But then I realized that was a huge, huge, huge success and it doesn't happen very often. I can say that. But for him, it was a success because while he was in the military getting paid, he was able to explore this career field. And he realized, I thought I wanted to do this, and I now know that I don't want to do this. And it opened my eyes to the fact that I loved teaching and I want to go back to teaching.
Wow.
And so it was a resounding success for him. Even though the DoD wants us to track the stats and they measure by who gets hired afterwards, he got hired afterwards as a teacher, but he didn't get hired in the field he went into. But this gentleman was focused and knew what he wanted to do. And his future was easier because he didn't have to learn that by trying to get an IT job, getting an IT job, figuring out he hated it, having to quit and go through all that, right? He had an easier, smoother transition because when he got out of the military, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And so that was a huge success. On the flip side of that, I have had, as I think Bridget was mentioning to the commanders, that people who are retiring, maybe officers, getting out of the military, tend to underestimate themselves, right? And so we had somebody come through who thought she was going to, she had like Bridget, 27 years, like Misty. And she thought she had to get a clerk type of job because somebody told her you're going to have to start at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Through the services that our career services provides, we were able to mentor and guide her. And she had a very well-known government contractor company create a 6-figure job for her because they didn't want to lose her and they didn't really have a specific opening for her at that time. So interacting with us, you're going to get these types of people who bring that type of value to organizations. And every blue moon, there's going to be one who finds out they don't want the job, but the vast majority of them, it's a great fit and they do want the job. And it is, with our partner companies being willing to take that chance, they give a human being coming out of the military that opportunity to learn this about themselves. And so it's a network that takes a village, and we work in that kind of environment, and we appreciate everything everybody does to contribute to us being able to do this for the transitioning service members.
You know, Kathy, we mentioned that we have a bunch of host companies or industry mentors, but we didn't touch that if you as a military member have a connection with someone locally or a different company and you want to introduce them to us, we are open to those introductions. You just have to, it's also on that in SkillBridge/CA for Corporate America, and just have them fill out that interest form, and we'll contact them and explain the program. You don't have to feel obligated to get all of the details and that sort of thing to kind of sell the program. We got that. And we would be happy to facilitate an internship for you for a company that maybe you've already established a relationship or rapport with. We just ask you to kind of make that introduction to us, and we'd be happy to jump on a call. So it's not just those that are posted on our job board or our SkillBridge board. We'd be happy to do a one-off, we say, a program for you if you've already made a connection. So just keep that in mind. We like to cater our program individually as much as we can within the guidelines of DoD, and every service is different regulation because no one can be simple. So and as a note, we do try to follow as closely as we can to all of the different service policies and maintain compliance with that. So we try to do our due diligence. Obviously, things change, and we are no longer in the military, so we don't have immediate access to that, but we do the best we can to make sure we're in compliance with all of the different service regulations.
Yeah. All right. Lindsay, Jessica, any last rounds?
Thank you for having us. We look forward to helping those veterans who are transitioning.
Awesome. Yeah, so at Vets2PM, we're going to help you identify your transferable skill set. Most military members are walking out of the military with the project management, human resources, general management, cyber, IT, safety skill set. And so we're going to personally help you identify that skill set, help you validate it with a professional certification that the civilian sector will understand, help you show and tell that skill set via resume, interview, and LinkedIn optimization training, and then connect you with people that want to hire veterans. And that's what we do through our DoD SkillBridge program and our job board. So if you are looking for a DoD SkillBridge, please visit vets2pm.com/skillbridge. And hey, if you want to be a part of a military transitioning member's journey and their personal career transition from the military to the civilian sector, join our SkillBridge program, provide those opportunities for veterans, and watch your talent program and your talent pool increase. Veterans, we bring a lot to the table. We're gap fillers. And most importantly, we want to work for a greater purpose and a bigger mission, and we're going to bring that talent to you. Thanks, Kathy, Bridget, Lindsay, and Jessica, and thank you, everyone who has made this possible. We're celebrating 10 years this month, 1,000 SkillBridge internships, 17,000 people that we have helped, and 8,000 students who have come through our exam prep program. We are not stopping, right, team?
Absolutely.
We're not. So it took us 10 years to become an overnight success, and we're ready for 10 more. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
team.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.